Hey everyone, it's Lynn Terry, the admin here for the 90-day lowcarbchallenge.com group and also known as Low Carb Traveler. And I wanted to pop on and just have a quick chat about weight loss stalls specifically and about the discouragement that you feel over what's the number on the scale. And I think that this is a really tough topic, and it's one that comes up really just daily around the web in my low carb groups. And so if you're frustrated with your weight loss or if you feel like you're in a stall or something like that, I would really like to encourage you to consider how far you've come, not just, what's going on as far as just, right this minute in terms of your what your scales are saying right now, because they'll fluctuate. So I want to read you a couple of examples, and these are just two random examples that I pulled off the web just in the last day. But I want to read you these couple of examples and see if you can relate to this. So the one lady says, I've been bouncing up and down a pound for 2-ish weeks. I'm only 2 months into my keto journey, and I'm down 25 pounds. So I'm proud, but it's frustrating. It's just so frustrating going up and down for weeks. So tell me, can you relate to that? Is that something you've ever felt or experienced before yourself? I personally can relate to that very much. However, here's the thing. If this were you in this situation, consider losing 25 pounds in 2 months. That is a lot of weight to lose in 8 weeks. So that's a lot of weight for your body to, have to adjust to losing in just 8 weeks. And so one of the big things that happens when people start keto or they go on a low-carb diet is they'll lose quite a bit of weight up front. And that's normal. That's completely normal. However, throughout your weight loss journey, not just in the beginning, but throughout your weight loss journey, you're going to experience a lot of holds and fluctuations on the scale. And this is basically just adjustment periods. It's your body having to adjust every time you drop a significant amount of weight. And then you'll have that whoosh factor, which you guys have heard people talk about, where all of a sudden you'll wake up one day and you've lost a substantial amount of weight. Now, there are a lot of different things going on here, so I want to address some of the, biggest problems you might be experiencing and some of the easiest solutions to fix those problems. I think one of the most common things is thinking, like, let's say in a situation like this, you lose 25 pounds in the first 2 months, and then all of a sudden you're not losing anything for like a week or two, or it's just fluctuating, or you gain a pound. And so that's, people are like, oh, I gained a pound, but what they're missing is I've lost a total of 24 pounds. So if you gain 1 pound and you've lost 25 pounds, it's really not a gain, right? So it's a matter of getting in our head the reality versus the emotional aspect of stepping on the scale and seeing it just a little bit higher or something to that effect. So I just want to read you a couple more examples. I want to talk solutions to these problems and, specifically what you can do to get your weight moving again, to start losing weight again. I have been through so many of these different, periods throughout my own weight loss journey. I've been eating a ketogenic low carb diet for a little over 8 years, close to 8.5 years now. And, there have been, different phases or whatever. And whenever I try to work with someone and help them determine what's causing a weight loss stall or what's really going on, there are, several things that generally come up. One is not tracking, and then therefore no one can help because you don't really know, what you're eating or what your macros are or what could be your potential culprits or whatever. But I want to really kind of step into the mindset stuff first real quick and then go into what you can do. Because getting discouraged about not losing weight seems to be the trigger, been there, to make people go off the rails and gain weight, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? But we do it. I've been there too. I've been like, oh, forget it. I'm frustrated or whatever. I haven't lost another pound in the last week or whatever, even if, I was maintaining a 60-pound weight loss or whatever. And it's no excuse to go off the rails and undo everything that you've done. That's self-punishment, not something you want to do. So I have a comment here, and it says, how about 9 months, 55 pounds lost? Great, but 85 pounds to go. So it's great. 55 pounds in less than a year? I mean, can you imagine, honestly? And so with 85 pounds to go, that's okay. Here's the thing, though, that I didn't know when I first started, eating low carb myself. I thought that I had a goal weight, and I think this is one of the first things that we need to address. We have this perfect, ideal number on the scale that we think is going to be, the magic number. However, I discovered in my own weight loss journey that I was wrong. Because the scales are only telling you, it's a number of gravity. They're only telling you exactly how much your entire body weighs. And so you've heard stories where people say, my scales haven't moved in 2 months, but I'm wearing 2 sizes smaller. Or I had to move my belt notch, or I've lost, 4 inches around my waist, or something like that, like crazy stuff. So in addition to what you weigh on a single, scale, there is so much more going on in your body at any given time, the whole body composition. So, and you may not even be exercising, because people will ask you that. People will say, well, are you exercising? Maybe you are gaining lean muscle, and losing body fat. But here's the neat thing. You may not even be exercising. You may be at the exact same activity level that you always were. However, if you are remaining consistently in ketosis, your body, the metabolic rate and the heat factor, I don't know all the proper terms, but your body actually burns more calories and will increase your muscle mass based on what your body is having to do metabolically. So it is possible that you are improving your bone density, that you are improving or increasing your muscle mass, and also burning fat at the same time. But this may all not reflect on the scale and the number that you want it to, unless you are looking at your total body composition. There are scales for that, by the way. If you're interested, I can tell you which one I use. I find it just really helpful to look at, what's going on with my body. Is it inflammation, which would be water weight, and things like that. So the more information, the more data you have, the better. Absolutely. So when you said you've lost 55 pounds in 9 months, but you have 85 pounds to go. So you think that you have 85 pounds to go. And the point that I was getting to was I thought that I knew what my goal weight was. But as I reached that number, I realized, hey, this doesn't look the same in my 40s as it did in my 30s. Number one. Number two, my body composition had changed dramatically. And so I continued on the path and decided to start building muscle, and doing other healthy things or what have you. And so you just kind of have to allow your body to follow suit. So you just eat low carb. Period. I had to finally stop looking at the scales and stop, thinking about this goal or that goal. And I had to finally just say, today I'm eating for my health. And I woke up every single day and said that. Ultimately, your body will follow suit. It has no choice. I mean, if you're not feeding it junk food and crap and overeating and binge eating and doing all this horrible stuff to your body, I promise you eventually your body does have to follow suit. So just give it the time and patience that it needs. But going back to that first example that I gave you, and I'll go back to that one, Missy said, I've been bouncing up and down a pound for 2-ish weeks, only 2 months into my keto journey, and I'm down 25 pounds. So I am proud. It's just frustrating going up and down for weeks. So, but you have to consider that, how much, weight loss that is. So the absolute first thing you have to understand is every time you lose a significant amount of weight in a short period of time, and 25 pounds in 2 months is a lot. I mean, it really is. Your body has to stop and adjust. It's a huge adjustment, right? All right. The other thing. So then I was reading another post from a lady named Julia, getting so very frustrated with this. And we've all been there, right? Let's talk about it. I mean, I've been there too. So Julia said, I'm getting so very frustrated with this. I still need to lose 60 pounds. So you're going to relate to this because you understand you have 85 pounds to go-ish, right? So I still need 60 pounds gone. I've been keto for almost 2 years, and the first year I lost 95 pounds. The last 8 months, I've lost 10 pounds. Now, who can relate to that frustration? All of us, right? So she says, and I'm going to try not to get choked up here. This makes me very emotional. My own weight loss journey makes me emotional. She says, I have egg fasted. I have steak and egg fasted. I have cut out cheese, cut out sweeteners, cut out peanut butter. Yesterday I ate a tablespoon of peanut butter, and today I gained 1.5 pounds. I have had a few oops days. And when I fall off, I gain a lot in a day or two, like 10 pounds or more. And then it takes a week to get it back off. Today, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to leave that part out. I'm feeling very weak right now. Keto was so much easier when I was losing weight. So how many of you guys can relate to that? Keto was so much easier when I was losing weight. So I'm checking the comments there. And so I kind of wanted to cry about that a little bit because, number one, a tablespoon of peanut butter is not going to put 1.5 pounds of body fat on you. That's not going to happen. But it's the first thing, we look at is the last thing we ate, right? And so I think that's kind of one of the things that you have to consider is we get too wrapped up in the right now. The right now doesn't matter that much. It's like every single decision you make is important, and every day, the day that you're in is what you need to be living, and that's where you need to be making your decisions. However, it's the long game. It's the big picture, and that's what you really need to be focused on. I'm eating for my health. Regardless of what the scales say, if I'm not going to go to bed hungry, I want a tablespoon of peanut butter, and I'm going to have a tablespoon of peanut butter. That fits within my macros. It keeps me in ketosis. I am satisfied and happy and living, this, just comfortable, easygoing, low-carb lifestyle. And then just allow your body to follow suit. One of the things I will say is this. When you start getting stressed, like we'll take Julia, for example. Julia said, I have egg fasted. I have steak and egg fasted. I cut out cheese. I cut out sweeteners. I cut out peanut butter. And then if she had 1 tablespoon of peanut butter and gained 1.5 pounds. And I mean, not knowing any of the real details or anything like that, there were also some comments about, I've had a few oops days, and when I fall off, I gain a lot. Like in a day or two, I'll gain like 10 pounds. That's very common. You are going to have a lot of not just water weight, but body inflammation. A lot. You will get joint inflammation. There's all kinds of different types of inflammation that you'll experience in addition to the water weight coming back immediately. That's because a ketogenic low-carb diet is a natural diuretic, and so it immediately makes you feel keto lean and flushes that water out of your system, which is a good thing. That's less inflammation, less bloating, less water weight. That's a good thing. So when people say, "Oh, I lost 8 pounds in the first 2 weeks, but it was just water weight," I'm like, just water weight? Like if I were carrying around 8 pounds of water every day, all day, I'd be darn glad to get rid of that. Fat or water, I don't care. Do you? Let's get rid of it. So we're going to talk about some solutions here. So what are the things that you're hearing here? Julia lost almost 100 pounds and has maintained that weight loss. Even though she needs, to lose another 60 pounds, she has lost almost 100 pounds of her body. She is getting healthier. What's not healthy, though, is to start going on food obsessions. It's not okay, to start starving yourself or start, eliminating all of the things that you love the most. You're going to feel deprived. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to be constantly stressed. Why is this not working? And this is when she says, I've had a few oops days, is what she says. So going off track. And every single time, and I would guess, if you're getting super strict and you're trying to diet too hard, then that's what's going to cause you to feel deprived, get frustrated, and eat off track, eat off plan, right? And so then when you do that, you knock yourself out of ketosis. It could take, for some people, a couple of days. For me, it takes generally 72 hours. For other people, it can take up to a week or two to get back in ketosis. And so in the process, of course, you're going to put on more weight. You're going to undo, all the hard work that you've done. Then you're feeling disgusted with yourself, blah, blah, blah. So I want to encourage you to stop doing that. Stop dieting so hard. Stop forcing yourself to do without things. Stop depriving yourself. Another point too is some people will be like, well, it has to be calories, right? I'm eating super low carb. I've lost 100 pounds, but now I haven't lost a pound in 2 weeks. And so all of a sudden, some people will just like cut their calories down like dramatically low. And you know what? My weight loss completely stalls out if I do that. If I eat too lean or if I eat too low calorie, if I don't eat enough food. And the reason is because your body freaks out. Your body says, oh, there's no source of energy. We have to conserve everything. We can't let anything go. So it's almost like my body shuts down any process of fat burning or, metabolism or whatever. There is some science behind that. You have to eat, you have to keep things going, you have to keep things moving. So don't just automatically assume, that is the case. Here's the thing too, it's not sustainable. You can't live on 800 calories or 1,200 calories, especially if you're eating high-fat foods, which means you're eating a very low volume amount of food. So doing without or starving yourself or whatever, like if you're rushing to get to your goal weight, instead of just letting it happen naturally, and it will happen naturally, but if you're rushing to get to your goal weight, what are you going to do when you get there? Right? Like it needs to be something sustainable, long-term. So I'm looking here and for some reason it's not giving me your names. That's just so impersonal. Sorry about that. Let's see. And April had lost 55 pounds. I think that was the other one I was reading. Yes. So the question is, do you fast at all? Not intentionally. However, I didn't eat anything until probably 9 p.m. tonight. But I never intentionally do without. I eat when I'm hungry and I don't when I'm not. Period. And there's a reason for that. Fasting is good for medical reasons. Fasting can be, good for, certain people, especially to gain food control or what have you. Fasting is not necessarily for people with certain health conditions. It's also not necessarily okay for people with past eating disorders. So if you've ever punished yourself with food, then fasting is not necessarily, something to do. That said, so I don't fast intentionally, but when you say, do you fast at all? This morning I made a coffee with MCT oil and didn't feel like eating until around 9 p.m. And I still haven't had a meal today. And it is my time, almost 11 p.m. So what I ended up having when I decided I felt a little hungry was I had a keto bar, and it was really good. But it's just a bar that has like some MCT oil and collagen, and it was yummy, like chocolate chip cookie dough or whatever. And that satisfied me. So I do usually eat whenever I'm hungry. I don't eat by the clock. I don't not eat by the clock, anything like that. This for me is definitely about a sustainable lifestyle at this point. I need to stay in ketosis for nutritional ketosis for health reasons, to stay out of chronic pain. And sometimes, look, my weight fluctuates all over the place. It really does. I mean, there are times, that it could be my hormones, it could be, stress, it could be sleep quality, it could be so many different things. And I eat a lot, of the same things all the time. Now, there's another potential problem that people don't realize. They're like, I eat the exact same thing every single day. My macros are perfect, blah, blah, blah. Your body gets used to that. So one of the things that I'm testing with great results right now, although I'm not ready to reveal all the little nitty-gritty details of the test, one of the things I'm testing right now is to have higher calorie days and lower calorie days. And I don't count calories. That's a whole ball of wax that's going to be so fun to get into. When I write my post about that, it's going to be a lot of fun to get into because calories are not equal. They're not the same. Your body doesn't use them or process them the same. So all calories are not created equal. That said, your body gets, if you get like where you do the same thing every day and you eat the same thing every day or have the same macros every day, then you might notice you don't lose any more weight. So you may notice you'll find yourself in a long period of stall, in which case it's good. I'm not saying when I'm saying like, mix things up. I'm not saying add in bad carbs or unhealthy foods, but rather, let's say change the volume of food you're eating. So let's say normally if you eat 20 net carbs max per day, and you're eating the majority of those, in certain foods or whatever, switch it up and try something different. So instead of, green vegetables, have your carbs in like berries and dairy or, something like that. Not to do a fast, or something like unsustainable, but just switching it up all the time. Then you get to enjoy a wider variety of foods. Sometimes you'll have more volume of food because it's lower in carbs. Let's say like lots of fresh baby spinach. Sometimes you'll have lower volumes of food, that are, like higher in mass or whatever. And so, just switching it up is a good idea too. So don't get stuck on, I have to be at 1,300 calories a day or less. Instead, switch it up. And some days when you don't feel like eating that much, have 12 or 1,300 calories. When you do feel hungry, have 2,000, and just kind of go with that and keep your body guessing a little bit. Anyway, I was really just sad to hear these two stories because I've been there. I felt that frustrated before. And then I would go off the rails because I was like, forget it. It's not working, or I need a break or whatever. And then I would gain more weight. That's a surefire way to get the scales to move right there, right? We've all been there. I've been there. Anyway, so there are a lot of things at play. Like I said, it could be anything from sleep quality to hormones to stress, to, some kind of, metabolic function or who knows what, right? But I want you to celebrate what you have done. I started something great. I'm eating healthier. I'm changing my lifestyle. I've lost 4 pounds or 40 pounds or whatever your case is, whatever your story is. And wake up every day and say to yourself, this is the path I want to be on. I want to be healthier. I want heart health. I want, like metabolic health. I want all that stuff. I want my body to be in balance. I want to feel good. I want to have high energy. Even if the scale says I'm a pound heavier today, and have that tablespoon of peanut butter, for goodness sakes. Probably like 2 net carbs, as long as it's a real tablespoon and not like, like the serving spoon in the gravy. Right? So comment here, I was successful doing low carb and then stalled, but then I fell off the wagon, so to speak, and have gained weight over the past year due to stress, etc. I've been trying to get back on track, but having a really hard time and get things moving again. So frustrating. So when you say you are frustrated, when you say you're having a hard time getting things moving again, do you mean you're having a hard time getting back on track and staying on track? Or do you mean you're having a hard time losing any weight even though you got back on track? So it's tough, because sugar is extremely addictive. And I'm talking about sugar in any form, even hidden sugar, like the sugar in, bread or pasta or whatever, not just cake and stuff. Sugar is extremely addictive. And so it's one of those things you absolutely have to detox from. But once you do that, once you limit your carbs down so low to 20 net carbs max per day, then your body is forced into a state of ketosis, which is a natural appetite suppressant. It kills your cravings, and all of a sudden it's easy. It does become easy. If you can just commit to 5 days, that is all I'm asking you. Just commit to 5 full days of 20 carbs max, 20 net carbs max, 20 total carbs max if you're struggling. And just do it for 5 days and let your body kick in and make it easy for you. That's all I'm asking. You can do anything for 5 days, so try that. I also find when I'm dieting, when I'm trying too hard, my scales get extremely stubborn. When I get frustrated and I'm trying to force the scales to move, they will mock me every time. Go figure. I have no idea why it works that way. It could be the stress that we're releasing, that those negative hormones, and I don't know. It's one of those things that happens. So I want to encourage you just to relax into a fun, easy, low carb lifestyle, and just, like I said, allow your body to follow suit, because it will. If you eat healthy, if you make smart choices, if you relax and get happy, your body is going to naturally follow suit. It has no choice. If you're not feeding it donuts and ice cream, if you're, not doing these things. It's an interesting thing, as I said, and what are we into? Like June. So I said, earlier this year, 2 or 3 months ago, I said, my weight's just fluctuating back and forth, a pound or two. That's all it's doing. I lied. And I had no idea that I was lying to myself. I got frustrated about it, and I sat down and looked back at my entries, because I log my weight every day, in my FitnessPal, along with the things that I eat and the water that I drink and all of those things. I looked at it and did the math, and I had lost like 9.4 or 9.8 pounds. And at my weight, that's a lot. I'm very close to goal weight. And that's a lot. And so I was really kind of shocked. I was like, I didn't realize, but this has been happening all along, slowly but surely, So over the first 3 or 4 months of the year, I think it was the first 90 days, because we did a 90-day challenge. And in the first 90 days, I had lost almost 10 pounds. And so I was surprised, because honestly, in my head, I kept saying, well, it's just going up and down a pound or two or whatever. But I just want you to let your weight come off naturally. Now, there are some tricks you can do. There are some ways to increase your ketone levels. The number one trick I would say is to get in ketosis, stay in ketosis, make sure you're in ketosis. Because that is going to make a huge difference in terms of weight loss, and also in terms of, how you feel, and not having cravings, and it being easy, right? The other thing you can do, so being in ketosis is important. And then there are things you can do to raise your ketone levels, although, it's questionable about, whether that's beneficial or not. Being in ketosis is like being pregnant. You are or you're not. And so you just want to be in that metabolic state. That's the number one thing. However, there are some things you can do to increase your metabolism, increase your fat burning rate, et cetera. And it's all the known stuff, right? Fasting, which we've already discussed, is okay for some people, not for others. It works good, as a method for some people who like feeling in control, and they have less of an obsession with food and things like that. For other people, it will make you feel deprived and crazy. Or if you have eating disorders. I do not want you to get obsessive about your weight loss. I want you to allow your body to naturally release its weight. And it will. It will have no choice unless you feed it crap. Now, going off and on and off and on and off and on, low carb is not 100% safe. So let's say that you're going in and out of ketosis all the time. Like maybe you do a cheat meal once a week, or once a month, or something to that effect. It's not so bad every now and then. I eat off plan maybe 3 times a year at the most. And it's always planned and intentional. And it's usually part of a testing series I'm doing, or when I'm doing product reviews and I get knocked out of ketosis, then I'll take that opportunity to enjoy a meal that I want, which is still paleo and still relatively low carb. So it's kind of a joke. But anyway, I only eat off plan 2 or 3 times a year. I prepare for it. I make sure I'm going to be home for the next 3 days, because keto flu is not fun. However, if you're going off and on consistently, and you're using some of these crazy keto products, there are some dangers there that you need to be aware of. So I'll work on writing a post up about that. But you can't eat carbs and sugar mixed with high fat and high sodium. I mean, that's what got us in trouble in the first place, right? Having, fat, sugar, salts, carbs, all together. So it's not okay to eat bacon all week and have this, I'm going to have this 80% fat or whatever. And I eat at least 80% of my calories in fat, to stay lean. Anyway, but it's not okay to do that. And then let's say, for example, I hear people say, I do great all day, but at the end of the day, late at night, I totally ruin it. So if you're doing this every single day, you're eating high-fat foods like mayonnaise and bacon and cheese and, all this yummy stuff, which is great. But then at the end of the day, you're adding carbs and sugar, then you're off the rails in the wrong direction, like health-wise. That's very scary to me. That really concerns me. Another thing that really concerns me is people who drink these ketone drinks. Exogenous ketones, I do not agree with and don't recommend at all. But they are full of sodium. They are carried by sodium, which is like the salts and electrolytes and blah, blah, blah that you need if you're in ketosis. The problem is they're marketed as a way to bridge you out of a cheat meal. So if you just got through downing a cheeseburger and french fries and a milkshake, and then you drink this ketone drink, you are adding sodium, on top of carbs, on top of fat, on top of all this stuff, which is exactly the wrong thing to do. The way this works is through the science of food combining. So I want you to be cautious about things like that. Like I want you to be good to your body, and your body will be good to you. You will get good results. But just keep in mind that you can't combine all of those things, especially some of them are marketed to make you believe that you can. And we can talk more about that. If you have questions about it, just leave a comment. I'm personally experiencing really great results with MCT oil. That's what I had this morning and why I was so satisfied all day that I haven't had a full meal yet today. I'm having good results with that. That is another way to increase your ketone levels. So we talked about there's several ways to increase your ketone levels. One of them is fasting, which is right for some people and not for others, and that's okay. MCT oil will instantly raise your ketone levels, literally within the hour. I'm doing some interesting tests on that right now, blood testing with a glucose and ketone meter, and it is fascinating that it immediately causes your body to produce ketones and burn calories and increases your metabolism quickly. It's also great appetite suppressant. That said, there is a lot of crap on the shelves right now being labeled as MCT oil that is diluted and has bad ingredients in it and will not give you those results. So if you are ever unsure about which MCT oil to use, some of them are overpriced, some of them are full of crap. Please just ask me. Just leave a comment and just ask me and I will let you know, because I researched over 50 brands. I spent 2 weeks with knee deep in a spreadsheet, like trying to figure out what is, because they're all labeled differently, like they're in milliliters or grams or milligrams. And it's really kind of deceptive trying to figure out, what's most cost effective, but also a decent quality. You need something pure in order to get those particular results. Otherwise, you might as well eat coconut oil, which is a good thing too. It just doesn't have instant results. All right. And I wish you would show me your names. I'm so sorry. Since I joined in late, but how does a person know how much fat and calories to eat every day? My advice is when you are just starting out, ignore calories, ignore grams. So just focus on 20 net carbs max and 70% fat minimum. That's it. And ignore everything else. That's all you have to focus on in the beginning. And really, it's all I still focus on. And question about MCT oil, I can come back and let you know if you're asking which brand I use or what kind I use. And I have a post on that also. I can give you the link to that as far as explaining what it is, why it's different from coconut oil, how it works, all that kind of stuff. It's magical. I'm in love with it. I made candy with it, which is great because I drink it in my coffee, but some people don't like fatty coffee or oily coffee. So I made candy with it, which was amazing. It's like a little fudgesicle bite or whatever, and then it's easier. Anyway, so that's the cool thing about that. So I want to talk about some things that I've noticed when people say their weight loss has stalled. Number one, a true stall is going to be something like 6 to 8 weeks. So if you're just having some slight fluctuations for a week or two, then that's not a true stall. That is a totally normal adjustment period your body is going through. And it will do that. You will lose weight, then your weight will hold, then it'll fluctuate slightly, then you'll lose weight, then your weight will hold, then it'll fluctuate slightly. Totally normal. There's so much more going on here than just your weight. Your whole body composition is having to change and adjust and things like that. So it's incredibly important that you just trust the process, Um, so as far as which MCT oil I suggest, I'm going to come back and give you a link to that because it's there are several, and I don't want you to overpay. I mean, there are some that are just ridiculously overpriced. Even one that I really like, and I love the company, and I love the guy that I work with behind the company, and I'm actually using the oil myself, and I don't recommend it publicly because it costs too much compared to other oils of the exact same quality. So I'll come back and answer that in the comments. Any questions you have whatsoever about anything I'm talking about, just leave a comment and I will come back and answer that. So I just want you to know, like, if you have been eating low carb and you've been tracking and you've been sticking to your macros and you haven't, had a cheat meal or anything like that, but you're not losing weight or you're not losing weight fast enough, you are not alone. We have all been there. We have all been through it. The fact that you're still working at it, I would just want you to celebrate that. Just stop right now and be like, I am still doing this. I got this, no matter what. And I think that's very important because most people give up. You are not most people. You want to make a healthy lifestyle change. You want to be a healthier, happier version of yourself. You want to, be a healthier person for your family, a better, role model for your children, or whatever the case is for you personally, So there are several culprits as far as why you might not be losing weight, or what have you. So I want to kind of share some of these with you. And I think I posted a link with this video too. But the first thing you want to do is make sure you are tracking your meals properly. Track everything that you eat, and that way you can see what the potential culprits are, what's going on. Just stick to 20 net carbs max per day. You want to get at least 70% of your total daily calories in healthy fats or in fat, period. So high fat is important. I know that sounds crazy. I have fat. Why should I eat fat? If I'm going to burn fat, I could burn my own body fat. The thing is, though, it's been scientifically proven that when you eat fat, when you ingest fat, it forces your body to burn its body fat. There's a whole science behind it, you guys, and it's really fascinating. Just trust me, 20 net carbs max, 70% fat minimum. Just do that and don't do anything else. Don't do drastic things. Don't do fasting. Don't go without food. Don't count your calories. Don't deprive yourself or any of those things. You're not going to be able to sustain that at all. So a comment here, this is so helpful. I've been at it for 3 weeks and only 3 pounds off. You have lost 3 pounds in 3 weeks. Are you kidding me? I could gain 3 pounds in 3 minutes. I could gain that in 3 minutes. You have lost 3 pounds. I want you to celebrate that. I want the word only to be removed from your low carb vocabulary. You just gotta stop saying only because you've lost 3 pounds. Go find something that weighs 3 pounds, like I don't know what, something like this, and carry it around with you for the rest of the day. Just stuff it down your shirt. I don't think it'll fit in this dress. Stuff it down your shirt and carry it around and see how awkward that is. You would be surprised how much 3 pounds is. I don't even think this is 3 pounds. Anyway, you'd be shocked. 3 pounds is a lot. However, there are some things you can do. So I was talking about ways to increase your ketone levels, and I'll finish that real quick because I tend to ramble. Fasting was one of them, but it's not for everyone. MCT oil immediately increases your ketone levels. Exercise increases your ketone levels as well. And of course, eating super low carb, right? So we all know that. I think there was one more, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. So anyway, tracking is key. And when I really hit my first major weight loss stall in my own journey, I hadn't been tracking. I had been kind of eyeballing it, tracking on paper or whatever, but I had no idea what my exact macros were. And that's when I discovered I was eating too lean. It was completely accidental. I was having a grilled chicken Caesar salad or whatever, but I wasn't getting enough healthy fats. Completely stalled my weight loss at that time. And so it will give you the opportunity to figure out what your potential culprits might be. The second thing that's great about tracking is it holds you accountable. It makes for more mindful eating. And so my recommendation is you track before you eat. before you order it, before you make it, or before you eat it. Go ahead and track it, because then you're more mindful of the portion you put on your plate is what you've already logged. And it's more trouble to go back and edit an entry, or whatever. So you think twice, like when you go back for seconds. You think, you know what? Because you have to track it or whatever. So for me personally, when I'm thinking about that, I'm like, actually, I'm satisfied. So there's that, but it makes you more accountable to yourself if you track everything that you eat. And so if you're not sure how to do tracking, ask me and I'll give you a link that has a video and everything that shows you, how I do all that kind of stuff. So other potential culprits, as far as all of a sudden I'm not losing weight or I'm not losing weight fast enough, is carb creep. So you might be eating too much. Your calories might be too low. You might be eating more carbs than you realize you are. That's where tracking, can really come in handy. And also, carb creep can happen because you're not really weighing or measuring your food. And so when you sit down with a bag of almonds, for example, and eat half the bag, how many servings are you really logging if you didn't actually weigh them out? So that happens as well. So I really want to encourage you to weigh and measure your food and log and track your food and just be very mindful about what you're eating. You can still enjoy a wide variety of beautiful foods and eat as much as you want or need to feel both emotionally and physically satisfied and stay within your keto macros, which is 20 net carbs max and 70% fat minimum. The fat protein ratio is probably the biggest culprit, that most people run into. So making sure that you are eating at least 70% of your total daily calories in fats. Also, so the next big thing that people run into is when they first lose a certain amount of weight or a significant amount of weight, and then all of a sudden it stops. And this is when people either go off the rails and give up, or it's when they start doing drastic stuff. I don't recommend either. So let's say for 2 weeks, you're doing great. You're losing weight every day. You lost, for me, it was 8 pounds in 10 days and then nothing for like a whole week. That is totally normal. That is your body adjusting to losing so much weight in such a short period of time. So you're going to have that brief hold. My advice is keep doing what was obviously working so well. Or if you changed anything, go back to what you were doing that was obviously working so well. That's it. So that usually happens during week 2 and or week 3. It happens to everybody. So just deal with it. Just keep doing what's working. Keep eating for your health. Know that your body has no choice but to follow suit. It's just adjusting. It's doing its thing, and you are recreating yourself. You think about people who have lost over 100 pounds. Myself, I've lost over 60 pounds, I think. And look, does that make them better than me? Is it an ego thing? Is it a contest? No, it is not. People who have more weight to lose will lose weight faster. People who are making a bigger lifestyle change will lose weight faster. So let's say, for example, you take you and me, right? And we decide to do a little challenge and see who can lose the most weight in the next week. Now, I've been eating a ketogenic low-carb diet for 8.5 years. So I could make some adjustments and, lose a little bit of the extra weight I need to lose. However, let's say that you have been eating at McDonald's and Burger King and Dairy Queen for the last week, like pretty much 4 meals a day or 5. I used to eat 5 meals a day. Anyway, and you're coming off, you quit soda, you quit, junk food, you're not eating a box of Little Debbie's every morning or whatever the case is, right? And you go low carb. You're going to see a dramatic weight loss in the first couple of weeks. Whereas someone who's making less of a lifestyle change, like somebody who already drank water instead of soda and somebody who didn't give up soda versus somebody who did give up soda. So you can't compare yourself to other people. There are entirely too many variables going on between age, height, body fat percentage, lifestyle changes, what they're doing versus what you're doing. And you honestly never know what anybody else is doing. All you know is what they tell you, right? So, anyway, so I'm just going to say that is the most common thing I hear is comparing yourself to others and saying, well, it just doesn't work for me. It works for everybody. It's scientifically proven. It's been working since the since the 1950s, I guess. I think it was 1958 is the first time I personally know of that it was introduced for weight loss specifically. And then Dr. Atkins really made it super popular in the early 70s. All right, so common stall culprits include, like the first things, what should you cut out? If you want to, make some cuts out of your diet, anything processed. Sadly, that would include things like pepperoni and salami, and things like that. Processed meats like that, for me, stall my weight loss. I don't know why. People always blame the sodium, but I eat other things that are very high sodium that don't do that to me. But bars, shakes, any type of processed food, that would be the first thing you want to cut. So try that for just like 2 straight weeks. Eat nothing but whole foods and keep it super simple. There's a method that I do that works like a charm. It's called, or I call it, 3I Max, which means 3 ingredients max. So if you want the link to that, it is a great stall buster. Just type in 3I Max and I will come back and drop the link for that. But some of the common stall culprits that people have said stall their weight loss, but again, I don't know like how much clean testing they're doing on this specifically, because I eat lots of cheese and cream cheese and stuff. Anyway, some common culprits that people think you could cut out next if you already don't eat any bars, no shakes, no processed foods or anything like that. Cheese, cream cheese, artificial sweeteners, sugar-free and processed foods, bars, shakes, already mentioned, and complicated recipes. So going down to super simple foods and keeping it very simple. So breakfast, for example, could be fried eggs that are fried in butter or an olive oil or avocado oil. It could be, just eggs and like steak and eggs and some avocado. That's 3 ingredients. Steak, eggs, and avocado. Freebies on the 3I Max would be oils, butters, things that have no real macronutrients. Anyways, yeah, so go super simple. That is my advice. Go back to simple whole foods. Stick to meat and greens with plenty of healthy fats. Make healthy, real food choices. And, stay away from the complex ingredients and the big casseroles and the this and the that, and just go super simple with your foods. That's going to be the absolute best thing that you can do, but not to the point that you're doing some type of elimination diet, like, for example, when I go 3I Max, I'll enjoy, 18 grams of blueberries and 60 grams of raw pecan halves and maybe some slices of Colby Jack cheese and like beautiful variety of foods or whatever. I love snack plates. As whole food snack plates are a lot of fun with lots of different flavors and colors and things. Or keeping it super simple, it actually makes dinner easier. It makes your meals easier. So, chicken thighs with steamed broccoli. That's easy. If you want to throw some Parmesan cheese or, whatever on there, then that makes it even better on your broccoli. I mean, butter and Parmesan is yummy. But just keeping it easy and simple makes your meal time easier, makes cleanup easier. It's not, a whole lot of time in the kitchen. So anyway, I wanted to just come on and talk about that. I think the biggest problem with weight loss stalls and with the whole, the mindset issues that we deal with is really that. It is our mindset issues. Because like I said, if you're being honest with yourself, I have been strict. I have, stuck with my macros. I've tracked everything. I weigh and measure, and you're being completely honest with yourself. And I am, like, I hold myself very accountable and I track and I stay within my macros and all this kind of stuff. Then it breaks down to asking yourself, okay, then why am I not losing weight? And being honest about the answer, am I sleeping okay? Am I stressed? Am I trying too hard? Am I, trying to force my body to move faster than it needs to move? Did I really maybe, have a cheat meal last week and I'm still processing the effects of that? And I'm kind of trying to not think about that because, I've been eating good for 2 days. So I should be fine now, right? I'm just saying, really get honest with yourself and ask yourself, okay, what else could I do to be a healthier person? And just keep it like that. If you focus on being the happiest, healthiest version of yourself, making the absolute best choices that you can, that into your low carb lifestyle, I promise you, like I said, probably 14 times already, your body will follow suit. It has no choice, right? You're not going to gain weight, and I'm talking about massive amounts of weight, like maybe before, when I gained weight before. You're not going to gain 50 pounds eating chicken thighs and steamed broccoli. It's not going to happen. You know, I mean, you might fluctuate a little, like a pound and a half here and there, or this or that might happen, or whatever. But you're not going to become unhealthy eating a healthy ketogenic low carb diet. So just stick it out, stick with it, trust the process, and allow your body the time to adjust and to catch up and to, for everything to work its magic. The number one thing is you need to be in ketosis. If you're not sure if you're in ketosis or not, that's probably step number one, because being in ketosis is the key to all of the amazing results of a ketogenic low-carb diet, the metabolic health that you want to achieve, and of course your body will start processing things differently in ketosis, and staying in ketosis consistently is key, for sure. All right, so we'll stop there, and if you have any questions or you need links or more information about anything that we talked about, I see there are some in the comments now. I will come back and answer those and give you the links that you need. And if there's anything else you want to ask about or discuss on this topic of weight loss stalls, not losing weight, being frustrated, dealing with it, I am here for you. I am not judging you. I have been through it all. I have thrown my scales across the room. I have, eaten myself into misery over, being frustrated or stressed out about it. Like, I've been through all of that myself. Coming out on the other side of it and looking back, I wish I could go back and hug her. That version of me that was struggling so hard or so frustrated, over the smallest thing, like, oh, I'm up 0.2 pounds today. I wish I could go back and hug myself and say, it's just the scales. You look exactly the same as you did yesterday. Everything is fine. Just eat for your health. Everything is fine. And so I'm here for you and want to help you through these issues too. They were no fun for me going through them, especially the first time around all alone and not knowing, what was what or what to expect or why things were happening or what have you. But if we need to dig in and analyze some things together in terms of how things are going for you or not going for you, let me know what's going on exactly or what you're struggling with the most, and we will dig in and we will work on that together. All right, have a great rest of the day or night. Thanks for joining in, and I look forward to your questions.